When Dorothy married Alfred, she thought she had found love. Less than a year later, she passed, and the story of her passing was not just about sickness. It was about betrayal, abuse, infidelity, exploitation, and humiliation that chipped away at her until her heart could no longer bear it. This story sounds like a Nollywood movie script. I can't imagine how this beautiful and intelligent woman fell into this trap and remained until she passed. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you have not, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever we post a new video. Now, let's continue. Dorathy was a very beautiful, soft, chubby, 33-year-old lady from Benue State, Nigeria. Her laughter could light up a room, and her intelligence commanded respect wherever she went. Her family owns a reputable NGO, and Dorathy, hardworking and dedicated, served as its executive director. It was a role she carried with both humility and grace. She met Alfred 4 years before her wedding. He was charming in appearance, polite with his words, and ambitious in speech. He seemed like the kind of man who wanted to build a future, and Dorathy, who longed for companionship, believed she had finally found the man for her heart. When Alfred asked her for a position in the NGO, she trusted him enough to employ him. She thought working together would strengthen their love. By 2024, Alfred proposed. Dorothy's joy knew no bounds. She danced with her family, called her friends, and proudly displayed her engagement ring. Everyone who loved her celebrated. Her parents believed she had made a wise choice. Her friends were happy that their friend had found happiness, and the staff at the NGO hoped the marriage would solidify peace and progress in the workplace. But not everyone was convinced. Some staff noticed Alfred's arrogance. He once summoned staff of the NGO and openly told them that, since they have always disrespected him, that he was now in a romantic relationship with the boss and now have her in his pocket. Then he proceeded to invite them all to the wedding. It was a shocking declaration. Many staff whispered among themselves that there must be something wrong. Yet for the sake of peace, they said nothing. After all, weddings are meant to be joyous occasions. Even Dorathy brushed to the side when she heard about it. Love makes one blind to danger, you know. The wedding date was set for August 15th, 2024. As the day drew near, cracks that Dorathy chose to ignore began to show. Something felt off about the whole preparation. Alfred was overly flamboyant, almost proud in ways that felt unsettling. On the wedding morning, Dorathy sat surrounded by makeup artists, friends, and families. She was glowing, smiling, and saying prayers of thanksgiving. For her, this was the happiest day of her life. She believed she was marrying the man God had chosen for her, a man she loved with all her heart. And the man loved her too, she thought. They had been preparing for this day, and everything had to be perfect. Almost all the people they invited will be there at the ceremony. Family, friends, colleagues. It felt like pure joy. And while she was making herself beautiful for her day, far away from her, Alfred was live on Facebook, telling the world that he will give Dorathy trouble, problems, issues, and would not let her sleep any time she offends him. People said it was a joke. Cruise, they said. But who jokes with such heavy words on their wedding day? Anyway, the ceremony was beautiful. Guests filled the hall, dancing, eating, showering blessings. Dorathy was radiant in her gown, Alfred proud in his suit. Laughter and music filled the air. Everyone thought they were witnessing the beginning of a fairy tale marriage. Well, as a matter of fact, Dorothy's life dramatically changed immediately upon marriage. Not for the better, as Alfred started showing his real self almost immediately. That night, when the lights went out, when the last guest had left, when husband and wife were finally alone, Alfred stood up, put on his clothes, and left the hotel. He did not return until dawn. Dorathy lay on the bed alone on her wedding night, tears soaking her pillow. When she asked him the next morning why he left her, he responded with anger and silence. No explanation, no apology, no remorse, and refused to speak about it. That silence marked the beginning of Dorothy's nightmare. From that day, Dorothy's joy began to fade, piece by piece. After the wedding, Alfred moved into Dorothy's apartment. Oh yes, they lived in her apartment, for Alfred had no house of his own. Barely a day later, Alfred made a Facebook post that shocked everyone. The person who has the mind to marry me, people should fear such a person. I myself fear Dorathy for daring to marry me. Welcome to a life of drama and trouble, he said. Some people laughed, while others shook their heads. But for Dorathy, those words cut like thorns. She began to ask herself quietly, what did I get myself into? Dorothy's suspicions deepened. She began checking Alfred's phone. Anytime he carelessly left the phone on the couch, she went a step further to clone his WhatsApp. For every cue gave her a clue to unravel the man she just got married to. 2 weeks into their marriage, Alfred demanded that Dorathy resign as the executive director of the NGO and stay home as a housewife so that he could take over the NGO as the executive director. He wanted absolute control of the NGO. Dorathy refused to step down, but because of the love she had for him and for the fact that she wants peace to reign, she would get up from the executive director seat and allow Alfred to sit there as though he were the boss anytime he showed up in the office. Staff watched in silence, confusion etched into their eyes. Then the secret began to unfold. Dorathy, in her search, discovered that the woman that Alfred spent her wedding night with was no stranger. She was one of his groom's ladies, a married woman named Judith with 2 children. She had once been involved with Alfred's own brother, Emmanuel. That was how Dorathy got to know about her. Alfred had saved her name as Rita to disguise her identity. She also discovered that Judith had slept in the same hotel room with Alfred and dressed him up on the wedding morning and sent him off with the words, "Go forth and be a good husband." Then Judith dressed up in a black tuxedo and joined in the wedding train as a groom's lady. The betrayal was sharp, cruel, and humiliating. Dorathy was infuriated. She was heartbroken. She was disgusted. She was angry. Name it. Trembling with pain, she summoned courage and confronted Alfred. But his response was a threat. He warned her never to question him again, and that if she ever made their issues public, that their marriage would be over. He silenced her with anger, then withdrew into malice, ignoring her for days. The abuse took many forms. It was emotional, physical, exploitative, psychological. Dorathy was sad. She was broken. She retreated into herself. She became a shadow of herself. Alfred flaunted his affairs in her face. He called women in Dorothy's presence, laughed with them. He hardly ever sleeps at home. She began to pour her pain into a diary and confided in family members and one or two of her friends who were also staff of the NGO about the threats and abuse, but pleaded with them not to intervene for fear of worsening the situation. On March 11, 2025, she wrote in her diary, "Still not talking to me, giving me a cold shoulder. Somehow I feel I was, or I am, the one wronged and should be the one acting up. But what do I know? It now feels like I am the troublemaker, nagger, no peace bringer. Is God punishing me for something I do not know? How on earth am I going through all of this, barely 6 months plus of marriage? Am I wrong for him? I guess so. Maybe they are better off as couple. Maybe it should have been her, not me. Maybe I should not have started any of this that night of the ride. Now I have to live with a husband that does not want to talk to me and sees me as trouble because I question him. She makes him happy in all ways that I have never done in the 4 years of knowing him. God, I prayed before this marriage. Why did you push me into a marriage where I will be a second option? Why? What have I done wrong in my 33 years of living?" Dorathy, despite the abuse and suffering, kept praying for Alfred to change and start loving her. Meanwhile, Alfred became bolder and more daring. He collected Dorothy's mother's Toyota Highlander SUV through Dorathy, sold it without disclosure, and never replaced it as he promised. Instead, he used the proceeds to buy a Toyota Camry in his own name. He pressured Dorathy into granting him a 4 million naira loan from the family NGO, which he used partly to buy land, and relentlessly pestered her to start building on the land. She also established a laundry business for him, and because Dorathy cloned Alfred's WhatsApp for a very long time, through it she saw his most intimate secrets. She read every message between Alfred and Judith in silence, messages filled with love, loyalty, and promises. The proposed love, the licking of Judith's ass to glory, the proposed secret marriage, even the use of King James Bible English to profess his love and impress Judith. Dorathy saw all of them. She knew every word, every lie, yet fear kept her bound. At a point, I was like, I don't get it. You love someone this much and choose to marry another you hate? You married a woman, left her at home, abandoned her, and started building a new love outside? The bond, dedication, commitment, the promises, the assurance, and even a plan to secretly marry Judith, all were intensified. Imagine being that woman, knowing your husband's every move because you had cloned his WhatsApp, seeing the chats, the calls, the humiliation, but being too scared to confront him again because the last time you did, he threatened to end the marriage. So you bottle it up. You smile in public, but your diary tells the truth. Truths of betrayal, heartache, and loneliness. This was too much for Dorathy to bear. Her health began to crumble. The stress, the humiliation, and the loneliness wore her down. Barely 3 months after their marriage, she developed high blood pressure, and in March 2025, she collapsed in their home, and Alfred ignored her calls for help. She called her brother Barrister Joe, who calling Alfred and begged him to please take his sister to the hospital. In Dorothy's diary, she stated that Alfred later scolded her for trying to implicate him by calling her brother to tell him her situation and the fact that he refused to take her to hospital. In early April 2025, her brother, Barrister Joe, told Dorathy that he would come and pack her things and take her away from the marriage. She refused and pleaded that they were seeing a counselor and that she should be given a little time, hoping counseling would fix the marriage. She said Alfred appears to be making efforts to make things right, and had even taken her to Mango World, where they spent time together and had a photo shoot. Well, it appears a wicked man can only pretend for a while. By June, according to her diary, Dorathy had resolved to end the marriage. She planned to study abroad and was waiting to secure the funds. Her escape was near. Her freedom was close. But fate did not give her that chance. On the evening of 31st July 2025, Dorathy requested for medical care because she had been battling chest pains for about a week. So when Alfred came to pick her from work at about 6:30 p.m., despite her gasping for breath and being unable to walk short distance properly, she pleaded to be taken to the hospital, which was just 600 meters away from the office. But Alfred refused and insisted they go home first. He had this usual way of scolding her whenever she was sick and saying she was only pretending so that he'll pay attention to her. By the time he realized the severity, it was already too late. Dorathy's lifeless body was rushed to the hospital at 7:40 p.m., according to the nurse on duty. The doctor on duty also confirmed that he got a call at about 7:18 p.m. from Dorathy's phone asking for a prescription, and within barely 30 minutes, Dorathy was brought to him, lifeless. What happened in that 1 hour between 6:30 p.m. and 7:40 p.m. remain unanswered. A few hours after her passing, rumors began to fly that Dorathy was about the third woman to have passed while in a relationship with Alfred. In his own chats with Judith, he expressed concern that anyone that comes close to him ends up passing, and Judith reassured him that that wouldn't be her case. Now, if you're still in doubt where Alfred's priorities lay, what happened next will change your mind. On the morning of the 1st of August 2025, 14 hours after Dorathy's passing, at about 7:30 a.m., he summoned the staff of the NGO to a meeting and declared, "As you all know, Dorathy has officially passed. I am now in charge, and work must continue." His words were cold, heartless, without compassion. They revealed where his heart truly lay. Dorathy's friends refused to let her story cease to exist with her body. They said Dorathy suffered betrayal, abuse, exploitation, and humiliation until her heart gave way. She was a woman of brilliance, beauty, and hope, but her light was dimmed too soon. Her diary, screenshots from the clone phone are witnesses to what she went through. Her cries, her prayers, her silence, her suffering, all recorded in words. A story of a woman who thought she had found love, but instead found death in the hands of that same man. May her soul rest in peace. Please, when the going in your marriage is no longer serving you, choose life first. Leave to live. Don't stay until it takes your life. To my sisters and brothers, raise your hand. Speak up. Don't cease to exist in silence. If you see abuse, physical, emotional, psychological, please run for your life. To my brothers, sisters, and friends. If someone confides in you about abuse, stop advising them to manage or stay for the children. That advice wastes lives. And to families, always leave your door open for your daughters, sisters, nieces. Don't push them back into danger because of shame or culture. Embrace them, welcome them. It's better to see them alive at home than to bury them too soon. No one deserves to cease to exist in silence. Please, let's break this cycle. If this story touched your heart, give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who needs this lesson. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful African stories. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep loving.